This is the Big Red Cat's 10 Commandments. Thanks for listening.
And welcome, team. So commandment number 1 is always stop above the guide. This is super important. It's also very important to slow down as you approach the group or the guide so that you don't cause injuries. It's super important to stop above the guide every single time. It's really important. And this is because the guide will stop before hazards like snowcat roads, but also things like cliffs, and also like stumps and things like frozen rollerballs and that sort of thing. It's also important to stop above the guide so that you can make traverses. If you go below the guide, you won't be able to make the traverse. The second commandment is we need good spacing in avalanche terrain. The aim of this is so that only one person gets involved in an avalanche rather than 2 or 3 or 4 people. Naturally, some people ski faster or slower than others, so if you're going behind somebody that's slower, leave more space. The other big reason to space people out is that the weight of a single skier is often not enough to trigger an avalanche. But on the other hand, if you have a whole group of 12 or 10 people, that additional weight is often enough to trigger an avalanche. The third commandment is don't stop in an avalanche path. The reason is it increases your risk of being hit by an avalanche because you're increasing the amount of time that you're exposed to the avalanche zone. If you don't have much choice, if you're just really tired, sometimes there's options to do a traverse to the side to get into some thick trees. But in general, if you're not sure if you can make it, that's a good run to have a rest on and ride down in the cat rather than ski. Just talk to your guides about this. The fourth commandment is always spot the skier in avalanche terrain. So we go one at a time in avalanche terrain, obviously, but always keep your eyes on that skier, whether you're at the top of the run or the bottom of the run, because that'll help us in an emergency situation. So always spot the skier. Here are a couple of other examples of groups spotting the skier as they're skiing down the slope.
And team, the fifth commandment is to always follow the guide's instructions. Sometimes this is difficult because of strange accents. Maybe it's windy, maybe it's snowing. But if you're unsure, please ask and ask again until you're 100% certain of what we're trying to get to.
The sixth commandment is always ski with a buddy in trees or glades. They're your first line of defense. The seventh commandment is always keep the guide's tracks in sight. Always keep the guide's tracks in sight. Sometimes to manage a slope, a guide won't ski 4-line. They may ski in zigzags doing snow tests or ski cutting. In this case, the guide may ask you to stay still close to their tracks, maybe even within the zigzags or very close to them. Stay close to the guide's tracks because if you traverse hard one way or another, you could get involved in a big avalanche or another type of hazard. In this example, the red shaded areas are potential avalanche zones, so the guide has set a border to avoid these zones and asked the group to ski to the skier's left of his track or her track. However, where this goes wrong is where the guide set the track, but then the first set of skiers, instead of staying close to the guide's track, they're veering off way further to the left, and this will mean that guests after them will also go in that direction, and you'll have a whole bunch of people lost. The eighth commandment is never ski a roll with your buddy underneath. A roll is kind of like a feature like this. And the reason why we're concerned about it is that you can kick off these small sort of loose snow avalanches like this. And if your buddy's standing directly below, they'll get involved. So just go one at a time like these guys over these rolls and you'll be safe. The ninth commandment is pre-planning an escape route. You can see here in this video how avalanches are concentrated in gullies. So heading to the high points, the sides of the gullies is really important. You can see these ribs in this mountain here. They're good points to head to as well. And you can see on the skier's right side, the trees are thicker here, so that'd be good places to head to. In this video, you can see our little guy here, he's pre-planned his escape route to the skier's right and made his way off in that direction. So pre-plan your escape route, talk to your guides, they'll tell you which is the best way to go.
The 10th commandment is, even if you think you might be lost, the best thing you can do is stop right away. Then you want to listen, you want to make noise, you want to use the radio, but the key is to stop before you think you're lost, just when you think you might be getting lost. Another key point is, if you get to a cat road and you're lost, never go past that cat road, because there's probably not another pickup road below that, in which case you'll have to hike back up, which won't be any fun. Thanks so much for watching. Our team is really looking forward to skiing with you.